Wow, that's such a cool idea to build! Why didn't I figure it out myself? Let's learn how to build a statue maze.
Round 1.
I want my maze to look like a giant Mikey statue today. So I start on the ground with plain dirt blocks and make a big outline first. I place the shape flat on its back and the feet point toward the viewers because that angle is easy to read from the front. Dirt is not fancy, but I like it because it is cheap, simple, and very easy to fix if I count something wrong. I make the legs, body, arms, and head one by one, like drawing with blocks. An outline is important in building because it works like a map. If the outside shape is wrong at the start, every inside wall will also be wrong later. I keep checking both sides so the statue does not become crooked. Symmetry matters a lot here because a body should feel balanced. My statue is lying down, so I also make the shape wide enough for a maze path. A maze needs walking space, not just a pretty picture. After the outline looks good, I go inside the shape and remove the green grass blocks. Grass is nice for nature, but inside a maze it looks messy because the bright green top keeps grabbing attention. I replace almost all of it with dirt, so the inside becomes calmer and easier to read. Dirt gives me one clean base color, and that helps the walls stand out later. In the belly area, I do something different and replace the floor with yellow concrete. I think the yellow part is useful because it makes the middle of the statue easy to notice right away. In a maze, color can help with navigation, and a bright section can work like a landmark. If someone gets lost, they can remember the yellow belly and know where they are. Concrete is also smoother than dirt, so the belly feels more special. I am not doing anything super advanced here. I just want the center to look important and easy to spot. Now I start lifting the outside walls higher with dirt blocks. A maze needs a strong border because if the outer wall is too low, players can look over it and the puzzle becomes way too easy. Higher walls make the paths feel more secret, and they also make the statue shape easier to see from far away. I go around the whole body and keep the wall height even. Even height matters because the build looks cleaner and it stops weird weak spots from appearing. After that, I make one entrance in the front and another one in the back. 2 openings are better than 1 for a maze like this because they give more path choices and make the build feel like a real challenge instead of one little hallway. I also like how the front opening welcomes players and the back opening feels like an exit. It makes the whole statue work more like a puzzle and less like a box. I begin the inside of the maze in the head area first, and I use dirt again because I already have a lot of it and it matches the outer shell. I place the inner walls in short lines and turns, making little paths and dead ends. In a maze, dead ends are important because they slow people down and make them think about direction. If every path keeps moving forward, then it is not much of a maze at all. I try not to make every turn the same length because repeated shapes are easy to memorize. I want the head area to feel tricky, so I make some corners tight and some paths a bit longer. Dirt is a good practice block for me because I can break and replace it quickly when I change my mind. I am not trying to be perfect. I just keep walking inside the layout and checking if it feels confusing enough. If I get turned around a little, that usually means it is working. Once the head paths feel good, I build those inner walls higher until they match the level of the outside walls in that part. Matching heights is important because the maze should feel complete from above and from inside. If one wall is lower than the rest, players can see too much and the puzzle becomes weaker. After that, I close the head area with more blocks and start making my face on top. I use black concrete for the eyes because black stands out clearly and gives strong contrast. Then, I add red concrete for the mouth detail, since red is easy to notice on a dirt build. Color contrast is really useful in pixel art because simple shapes only work when the colors separate clearly. My face ends up looking funny and simple, which is kind of right for me. The head is not just decoration either. When the top is closed, the inside paths feel more hidden, and that gives the maze a better secret feeling. In the belly area, I change my wall materials because I want the middle section to feel different from the head. I build the base of the inner maze walls with yellow concrete and birch planks. Yellow concrete connects nicely with the yellow floor, so this part looks planned instead of random. Birch planks are useful here because the pale wood gives a softer color break and makes the center less dull. In design, changing material in one zone helps players remember that zone, and that is good for a maze because memory is part of the challenge. Birch also has straight, clean lines, so the walls in this section look a little more neat than the dirt ones. I think mixing blocks here makes the belly feel special, almost like the main room of the statue. I keep the path width the same though, because if one section is wider or tighter than the others for no reason, movement can feel awkward. I want it different, but still fair. For the rest of the body, like the legs and other sections, I go back to dirt for most of the inner maze walls. Dirt keeps the statue feeling earthy and simple, and it also ties the whole build together since the outer shell is dirt too. After I finish the layout, I raise all the inside walls up to the same height as the outside using dirt, yellow concrete, and birch planks where each section needs them. Height matters a lot in a maze because walls control sight lines. If players can see over a wall, they get free information, and the puzzle loses its mystery. I keep checking the body from above to make sure the paths look connected, and the statue shape still reads clearly. The yellow belly section stands out. The head has my face on top, and the rest stays simple and sturdy. I think this maze looks pretty nice now. It is not super pro, but it is big, clear, and fun to run through if someone wants to get lost inside a giant Mikey. Phew! It took so much effort. Great, my Mikey statue maze is ready. Mikey!
Oh, wow!
Joo-hoo! We're going to build a statue maze today. I love building mazes. Mikey has probably already built his maze. Mikey, is that all you've built in that time? What is this pile of dirt?
JJ, you only know how to offend me. By the way, I tried very hard.
Mikey, but it's true. A mud maze doesn't command respect. Besides, I can pass it without any problems. This maze is too small, so it's easy.
Oh, that's it. Stop judging. Maybe then you'll show me how to build a statue maze.
Of course, we ran to the place.
JJ, I'm not sure you're going to make it. But in any case, good luck to you. I'll wait for you at the house.
Thanks, then I'll start. Round 2. For my version, I decide to build a JJ statue maze at a much larger and more detailed scale. Instead of placing every outer block by hand, I use a command to generate the base shape quickly. A command is the best tool for this kind of project because giant statues require exact proportions, and manual building can introduce small errors that become huge at full size. In front of me appears a massive statue of myself lying flat on the ground with the feet facing toward me. That orientation is useful because it gives a clear front view and makes the main entrance placement easier to plan. The statue already has the correct colors and body parts, so I now have a full shell to convert into a maze. Using automation for the first step is not laziness. It is efficient engineering. When scale gets large, smart builders save time on repetition and spend that time on design, structure, and readability instead. After the statue appears, I immediately notice a common issue that happens with large command placement. Some extra blocks remain around the structure where the copy operation catches edges, grass, and nearby terrain. These leftovers make the build look messy and can also confuse the future maze shape, so I remove them with more commands. Cleaning the perimeter is very important in construction because unwanted blocks create false walls and break the silhouette. A statue maze needs a very readable outer line. If the outside is noisy, players will not understand where the real body ends and where random terrain begins. Commands are especially useful here because they let me erase large, unwanted sections in straight, clean slices. That gives me a much faster and more accurate result than swinging tools at random. Once the extra debris is gone, the giant body looks much sharper on the ground, and I can begin turning this solid statue into a hollow maze structure. My next task is hollowing sections without damaging the outside walls. I start with the upper part of the pant legs. From above, I use another command to remove the top layer across both pant legs, leaving only the side walls standing. This step is similar to taking the lid off a box. A maze needs internal walking space, and right now, these legs are still solid. By cutting away the top surface, I create an open channel where interior paths can be inserted later. I keep the sidewalls intact because they preserve the shape of the statue and define the boundary of the future maze. In structural design, keeping the perimeter while removing the center is an efficient way to transform a decorative object into a usable space. The legs now look like giant empty shells instead of filled columns. That is exactly what I want. A maze works best when the outer form stays recognizable while the inside becomes a puzzle. I continue this hollowing method on the other body sections, always leaving the head untouched for now. I remove the top cap from the torso, the arms, and the remaining body parts so that only the outer walls stay in place. I do not open the head yet because I want that section to remain a visual anchor. The face helps the statue stay readable from a distance, and it also gives me a useful closed zone to plan around later. Keeping selected sections sealed while hollowing others is a strong design choice because it creates variation in mass and silhouette. If every part is open the same way, the statue starts to lose personality. By working piece by piece, I also reduce the chance of accidental damage to the outer colors and patterns. Each open section now behaves like a large empty room with walls, which is exactly the condition needed before I insert the maze network inside the body. Once the top areas are open, I inspect the underside and notice another problem caused by terrain interference. The statue was pasted onto uneven ground, and in some areas, trees and natural blocks were left underneath. That creates holes and floating spots where the lower body should be solid. From a building perspective, that is unacceptable. A giant statue lying on the ground needs full support below. Otherwise, the geometry looks broken and the maze floor becomes uneven. I use commands again to fill the missing lower sections and replace the messy natural blocks with proper material from the statue. This step is about structural clarity. Even in Minecraft, a build looks more believable when the weight appears supported. Players may not calculate actual force, but they still notice when something seems to float for no reason. After filling those gaps, the entire statue rests cleanly on the ground, and the interior spaces are much easier to plan. At this point, I stop and consider the next phase carefully. Designing a complete maze from scratch inside every body section would take a very long time, and consistency across such a large build would be difficult. I decide on a better workflow. I travel to another world where a finished hedge maze already exists. This is a professional use of templates. In architecture and level design, reusing a tested pattern can save time and also improve quality because the path logic has already proven itself. A ready maze already has turns, loops, and dead ends, balanced in a way that makes exploration interesting. Rather than reinventing every corridor, I can import a successful structure and adapt it to this statue. That allows me to focus on fitting the maze to the body shape and restoring the visual style of my skin afterward. Smart building is often about choosing the right source material, not just placing more blocks. When I arrive in the other world, I study the hedge maze before copying it. Its walls are made of leaves, which makes it an excellent temporary template. Leaves are easy to read because they form a soft, natural wall, and they are visually different from hard building materials. That difference is useful during planning, since I can instantly tell which blocks are part of the imported maze and which belong to the statue shell. I copy the entire maze as one large structure. The advantage of copying the full layout at once is that the path logic stays intact. If I copied only fragments, the corridors might stop making sense after reassembly. Template integrity matters. A maze is not just random walls. It is a system of choices, delays, and landmarks. With the whole leaf structure saved, I return to my build world ready to fit that path network into the inside of the statue. Back in my world, I begin by pasting the leaf maze into the chest area of the statue. The chest is a strong starting zone because it is broad, central, and easy to access from multiple directions later. The imported leaves suddenly fill the empty cavity with paths, corners, and dead ends. This is where the project starts to feel alive. Using the chest first also helps with scale testing. If the maze fits well in the center of the body, I can reuse the same path logic in the smaller and longer sections such as the arms and legs. The leaves create a clear contrast against the outer statue walls, so I can quickly judge spacing. I check that the corridors are wide enough for smooth player movement, and that the walls do not clip their suts through the outside shell. Good maze design is always about movement. A path may look clever from above, but if it feels cramped inside, it fails as a level. One of the most interesting things happens right after the chest maze appears. Because this world contains different biomes close together, the imported leaves do not stay one single shade of green. Some sections turn lighter, some darker, and some gain a slightly different tone. Visually, it is unusual, but I actually like this result during the planning phase. Different leaf colors create instant zone markers, and zone markers are extremely helpful in large mazes. Players often get lost because everything looks the same. Color variation solves part of that problem by giving the brain useful memory points. At the same time, I know this colorful leaf stage is only temporary. It is a planning layer, not the final look. Still, I take a moment to appreciate how the chest section now resembles a living map inside a giant statue. Sometimes accidental biome effects produce very educational examples of how color changes orientation and player memory. The imported hedge maze is still too low compared to the outer walls of the statue, so I extend it upward. I use commands to raise the leaf walls until they reach the same height as the chest shell. This is a critical step. Wall height controls visibility, and visibility controls difficulty. If the maze walls stay low, players can simply look across the whole chest and solve the puzzle with almost no effort. By matching the internal walls to the external shell, I create a true maze experience, where choices must be made corner by corner. Commands make this efficient because I can repeat the same vertical extension across many lines without measuring every segment by hand. The chest now has a complete internal labyrinth with proper wall height, and the outer statue remains unchanged. This layering method is powerful. It lets me keep the visual identity of the statue while building a serious game space inside it. With the chest section working, I apply the same process to the middle body areas. I paste more leaf maze segments into the stomach and waist zones, then raise those leaf walls until they match the outer shell there as well. The stomach area is especially interesting because it naturally acts as a transition zone. In level design, a transition zone connects wider rooms to narrower ones and helps change pacing. I make sure the corridors in this section do not all run straight because long straight paths reveal too much too quickly. A few turns improve suspense and create better decision points. I also check alignment between the chest maze and the lower body maze so that the player can move from one region to another without hitting impossible joints. Good structure is not just about individual sections. The whole route must function as one connected network. The statue is gradually changing from a shell with openings into a full body-shaped labyrinth. I move next into the long leg sections. Legs are harder than the chest because their shape is narrow and stretched out. That means I cannot simply paste a square maze and expect it to work. I adapt the leaf layout so the corridors flow lengthwise while still including forks and dead ends. Long spaces in maze design can become boring if they only contain straight corridors. So I break the rhythm with turns, pocket areas, and cross passages where possible. Then I use commands again to increase the height of these leaf walls to the outer pant walls. This takes a lot of time because there are many repeated segments, and the command work becomes the biggest part of the round. Still, it is worth it. Efficient repetition is one of the main strengths of command-based building. The legs now read as giant maze tunnels hidden inside statue limbs, and the scale feels dramatic when I walk through them. After the legs are complete, I repeat the workflow for the arm sections and any remaining body spaces that need internal paths. Arms create a different gameplay feeling because they branch away from the center, almost like optional challenge routes. In good maze design, side branches give players curiosity rewards. A player sees a turn into the arm and wonders whether it leads to progress, treasure, or just another dead end. I place the leaf layout carefully so those branches still connect back into the body logic instead of feeling random. Then I raise the walls once more to meet the outer shell. At this stage, nearly every major part of the statue contains an internal hedge maze. The project looks chaotic from above because leaves are everywhere, but underneath that chaos, there is real order. The path system now exists throughout the body. What remains is turning this temporary green template back into a true JJ statue with the correct clothing colors and patterns. Now I begin the visual restoration phase. The leaves did their job as a temporary maze template, but they no longer match my character design. I start replacing the leaf walls in the lower body with more appropriate blocks such as wool, redstone blocks, and other materials that fit the original clothing pattern. Block choice matters here for both color and texture. Wool gives a soft matte surface, which is great for cloth areas. Redstone blocks provide a strong saturated red where needed, and other solid blocks help define darker or brighter parts of the outfit. By swapping the maze walls material by material, I restore the look of my pants and lower clothing while keeping the exact same corridor layout. This is a powerful design method. The gameplay stays stable, but the appearance becomes thematic. A good maze should not feel pasted into a statue. It should feel like it belongs inside that specific character. That is what this replacement step achieves. I continue replacing the leaf walls in the torso so the internal maze reflects the proper pattern of my outfit. This stage takes patience because the body has more color changes and more visible areas than the legs. I follow the original design closely so the maze walls line up with the same visual language as the statue shell. In themed level design, consistency is extremely important. If the inside colors ignore the outside, the build feels disconnected. I also use commands to make the front of my shirt from white concrete. White concrete is the best choice because it gives a clean, bright, flat surface that reads clearly from a distance and matches the look of a crisp shirt panel. The brightness also helps the front of the statue stand out as a focal area. Now the chest and stomach not only function as a maze, but also display the right identity. The structure is becoming both a puzzle and a recognizable portrait. My final step is access. A maze is useless if players cannot enter it clearly, so I create proper openings into the statue. I cut clean passages at planned points instead of leaving accidental holes. Entrance placement matters because it controls the first impression of the puzzle. A front entrance feels natural and welcoming, while other openings can serve as alternate routes or exits. I make sure each opening connects to a valid corridor rather than a dead wall, and I keep the edges neat so the statue still looks polished from outside. Good circulation is part of architecture as much as decoration is. Players need to understand where to start, where they can move, and how the body-shaped maze flows from one section to another. With the entrances complete, my JJ statue maze is finished. The outside still looks like a giant version of me lying on the ground, but inside it now contains a full maze system built with efficient commands, smart templates, and restored character detail. Great, my JJ statue maze is ready. It's time for me to show it to the guys.
Wow, JJ, you've got such a huge maze. It's unbelievable. How did you manage to build it?
Ha, Mikey! Everyone should have their own secrets. Will you try to pass my maze?
Of course, I love riddles. I'll see you soon.
Well, well.
The next day.
You've been gone a long time. I thought you'd stay forever in this maze.
Oh, I was very tired. I got into dead ends many times, but in the end, I was able to find the right way. It was fun.
Well, I think it's time for us to finish.
Subscribe and like. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.